What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me, as always, are Callum Wiggins.
Hey.
And Robert DeFelice.
Hello.
And we are talking, this time, a double edition, but on this particular video and iTunes feed and whatever you might be listening to this on, about NXT TAKEOVER WarGames. So, for the card, just a quick rundown, we've got Lars Sullivan and Cassius Ohno. We've got, of course, we're not going to be talking about that. We're talking 2018. That's what's happening. That's my one attempt at a joke for this time, because I'm brain dead from SmackDown, and we might be doing a double recording here. So you're gonna get the fun Tony that's been hanging around the past goddamn couple episodes. But at least we're starting off with some positives. That's why we're doing NXT first, because I don't want to do NXT TakeOver talk after Survivor Series, where I'm like entirely negative, because I'm actually really into the NXT TakeOver WarGames card for 2018. So yay! We get some thumbs up at first. We have 4 matches as of the recording that we're doing right now. For anybody who's wondering, it's just about 3 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. So NXT has not aired, and we do not know the 100% complete finalization card, but we can speculate. So that's where I want to start off. Speculating on a potential 5th match. Triple H has said that that's not something that's necessarily guaranteed, and based off of last year, they had a couple different things going on that could point to a potential match that happens, but also not a necessity. They had a 5-minute match last year between Lars Sullivan and Cassius Ohno. They had a 14-minute match, a 10-minute match, a 14-minute match, and a 36-minute match. Would you guys rather there be 5 matches for the sake of 5 matches, and one of them be potentially like a 5-minute thing? Or are you okay with 4 matches and that they get the proper amount of time?
Well, they added an extra hour, didn't they?
I think the lineup right now is 6:30 to 7 is the pre-show, 7 to 9:30 is the show. So that's the typical 2.5 hours.
I'd only put another match into there if it was going to be given the time to make it stand out. So if they have that capacity, then that's fine. But if not, then I'd be fine with just 4 matches, as long as they were like good and like meaningful. And the 4 matches we currently have, like, they all should demand a decent amount of time attached to all of them.
I agree.
Yeah.
However, I'm a big fan of both men in the speculated match. So, I wouldn't mind seeing this match at all.
Well, if there is going to be a 5th match, we can be pretty sure what it's going to be. It would be Matt Riddle against Cassius Ohno. By all accounts, it seems like that match is going to be recorded before TakeOver, and that it's going to air on the episode that follows for NXT. But what's a little bit strange about this is they're supposed to be doing a set of tapings tomorrow on Thursday night. And if they're doing tapings before TakeOver, how are they able to actually fit anything on the show that doesn't spoil what happens at TakeOver?
That means the next couple episodes would be absolutely meaningless, if that's the case.
It doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's meaningless. It just means that anybody who would have won a championship or something along those lines shouldn't be involved. I mean, you could do something along the lines of, like, not have Shayna Baszler or Kairi Sane or Tommaso Ciampa, whoever, just not on the show for the next 3 to 4 weeks, because actually that'll be what the taping block would be aiming for. You just have the fallout from TakeOver, they're on that, and then the rest of the time you just spend building up some people that have been out of the spotlight because of these matches taking place.
Well, if I'm looking at if my notes are the way that they should be, and I don't have any kind of weird things going on, the next set of tapings, I have just NXT UK going on, and I don't have anything else listed beyond the NXT that's happening tomorrow. So, I mean, if they take out the people that are involved on this card because they don't want to show that, like, Velveteen Dream wins the title, or the Undisputed Era aren't cutting a promo talking about how they won their match or something like that. You rule out Undisputed Era, Pete Dunne, Ricochet, War Raiders, Velveteen Dream, Ciampa, Gargano, Aleister Black, and the entire women's division. There's like nothing to go with for the rest of the couple episodes.
Well, I wouldn't say you rule out the entire women's division. It could be a case where you get a lot of build up through promos, and like Bianca Belair is wrestling Lacey Evans or something for a main event.
I mean, it would kind of have to be that kind of stuff. Like, you know, have the Cassius Ohno Matt Riddle match on NXT following TakeOver. Do the typical TakeOver Fallout type of stuff where it's sort of like, let's do the little backstage interviews that we recorded after the matches, and like they can get a full episode out of that. Maybe one other match too. Like
you can do things of like having like Ricochet defend the North American title, because that doesn't affect anything that happens in the match. It doesn't mean that we know what the result is. Like, I think the Undisputed Era and the Raw Raiders stuff, like, you don't need to give anything away about how that match is going to go, because at the end of the day, that match really doesn't have any stakes towards it.
Yeah, I guess as long as they don't cut a promo.
Yeah, the only like same thing with the Aleister Black, Johnny Gargano. The only thing you have to avoid is showing whether Shayna Baszler or Kairi Sane or Tommaso Ciampa and Velveteen Dream win their respective championships.
Yeah, if you don't do any promos, maybe you can get around that. That's a good point.
And they're usually quite clever about this, NXT, so I have a bit more faith in them being able to avoid spoiling anything.
I have a lot more faith in NXT than I have on the main roster. It's just like a general rule of thumb. If they're going to be like, crap, an injury happened, what do we do? I got a feeling that NXT is going to be better at it. Or if they're like, well, you have to plan stuff out ahead of time, they seem to figure it out. Matt Riddle and Cassius Ohno, one thing I want to talk about that when it comes to that is poor Keith Lee. Cassius Ohno starts this whole thing by basically saying, I'm sick and tired of all these brand new toys that come in, like this Matt Riddle guy. And Keith Lee's sitting there like, hey, I came in. Nobody cares.
Go ahead, Cal.
As I said, that match will happen down the line anyway. I mean, Keith Lee's already had his match with the established roster guy by beating Kona Reeves, who's disappeared into thin air. But
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but I don't think it's it's obviously I'm a big fan of both of them, and they would definitely put on a great match together. But I think they see more potential in Matt Riddle going forward, so they probably would be more keen to put him onto a takeover sooner.
Yeah, I mean, he's the bigger name, so if they're going to prioritize one, that's the one that makes sense. And of course, Matt Riddle wins.
It'll be a great match, as long as they give it time to.
Yeah, and if they don't have time, then I would be fine with them just putting it onto the NXT and just being like one match they give about 15 minutes to.
And you know what? That might be the one and only match that happens on the next episode of NXT. It might be literally all Fallout and recaps, and then just that match. And it could be a 20-minute match or something like that. They could really kind of make that something that stands out. It'll be like a dark match for the TakeOver event. People will get all excited about it. They'll be able to watch it the next week on NXT. If you haven't, you're not sitting there in the Staples Center. I'm okay with it not being on the TakeOver card, but part of me also still kind of says it would mean a lot more if it was,
Yeah.
You guys think that there's any other potential fifth match?
If they wanted to do a thing where, like, the Street Profits defend the Evolve Tag Team Championships against TM61, that'd be cool.
It'd be a lot cooler if it wasn't TM61.
Yeah, if it was Heavy Machinery or something like that instead, or
Sticks and weights.
Heavy Machinery is only good for promos.
Listen, Heavy Machinery is only good for Otis Dozovic.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's just another, like, have him come out, be him, give him a new tag team member.
I mean, you got a lot of decent tag teams that they're just like milling around at the moment, but so you could like do something that they did TakeOver London, I think it was a while ago, where they just put 4 tag teams in a match. So you could do Lorcan and Birch, TM61, Street Profits, and Heavy Machinery, and maybe just throw the Evolve Championships on the line just to add a bit of like flavor to it, and just have the Street Profits win.
Was the January pay-per-view the one with the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic last year or this year?
No, that was the WrestleMania one. Yeah,
the Mania one was the one.
Yeah, that was because that was the where Roderick Strong turned. That was for the Dusty Rhodes Classic final.
Huh. Wow. It's hard to keep track of these takeovers because everything's just like takeover blank city.
It's funny because it's like there's so fewer of them compared to WWE.
I think it hurts them that they're being paired with these major shows. So what happens at the shows tends to bleed together for NXT because WWE is always doing so much.
You mean like the focal point's not ever on NXT?
Yeah, like when they were doing NXT takeovers on their own, I think you could focus a lot more and get a lot more out of what was happening.
Well, to be fair, I also lose track of which matches are happening on the main roster too. Like if somebody's like, you know, do you remember that one match? Or like, what's the main event for? I don't know. Like, well, I was going to go with Battleground. We didn't even have Battleground this year. That goes to explain my point to begin with. You know, if people are saying, "Hey, do you remember Backlash from last year?" I'm like, no. You know, it's just. I remember things that happened, but
Jinder Mahal won the WWE Championship.
Now, if you said, "Do you remember when Jinder Mahal won the title?" I'll be like, "Yeah, I remember that he won it," but I would never have been like, "Oh, is that Backlash?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, I remember Money in the Bank happening at Money in the Bank. I remember Royal Rumble happening at Royal Rumble, but No Mercy, whatever. You know,
I never have that issue. I tend to just keep it all stored in my head for some reason. It's quite easy for me to recall that stuff. So you could literally say an event. I could probably tell you what the main event is, but don't do that because nobody wants to be bored by that sort of thing.
Well, you know, I'll give you one. What was the main event of Payback 2016?
Payback 2016.
I should probably look it up to be able to know.
I think that was AJ Styles Roman Reigns.
Yes, it was.
Let's see. It was.
It was after Mania.
Yep, you're right. AJ Styles Roman Reigns. Holy shit.
I'm not that bad.
Next time I need to recall the information, I'll just be like, Callum, what happened?
Just a hint for the mailbag next week. Just throw a load of like events on there, and I'll just guess.
I'll not even have that listed as like the pre-recording. Here's the list of the questions, everybody, kind of thing. It'll just be like, all right,
don't spoil it. Yeah,
be like a new thing of play the game. Be like, I don't know, like Survivor Series 2004. What is it? Like that kind of thing or something. Anyway, let's talk about the card that we know for sure is set to happen for NXT TakeOver 2018 WarGames. We've got the NXT Women's Championship is on the line in a 2 out of 3 falls match between Shayna Baszler and Kairi Sane. This was brought about in pretty much the simplest way possible. They had recorded things ahead of time before Evolution, and we didn't know what was going to happen because they couldn't spoil that. So really the only thing that they could have done was to do something like what they did, which was Kairi Sane lost the title. She's entitled to a rematch, and they're going to have that here. But because they've had 4 matches in the past, and they're 2-2, it makes sense to do a 2 out of 3 falls match because you have to establish who the actual winner is. Again, you know, the people booking NXT are like, we have a potential issue. Let's take a few minutes to sort this out and figure out the best way to get around it. I have nothing but positive things to say about this. It's like, it's so refreshing to say how smart the booking is and how I'm looking forward to this match and how the gimmick makes sense and how if Kairi Sane were to win, I wouldn't be disappointed, but if Shayna Baszler wins, I'm totally up for that. Like, it's so nice to have a smile on my face.
Yeah, this match is going to be really good. The 2 out of 3 falls matches on NXT cards usually are. and I'm gonna love it as well. And I'm gonna shut up now and let Callum talk about Shayna Baszler.
I think I got a lot of the Shayna Baszler love out in Evolution, but like the backstage promos they've done building up to this, she's just so good at just looking so, or getting so annoyed about the fact that, oh, I have to compete against her again. It's just typical heel stuff, but she does it so effectively that it just works better than a lot of people in the main roster. It's going to be a great match because these two have just typically gotten better and better in terms of their match quality. And a 2 out of 3 full stipulation means that, I mean, obviously that does have the drawback in the sense that you're kind of waiting for the third fall to happen before you really get invested. I mean, you can still enjoy the process of getting there, but it's only once you get the third fall you really start thinking, oh, okay, now it matters. So I'd be very surprised if they did a 2-0 in these situations. But it's not unheard of, but I'd be surprised.
Yeah, they do it every once in a while.
If they do it, I think it goes Shayna sweeps her 2-0.
Oh yeah. Well, I think Shayna's retaining because there's a lot of scope to do with her and like Marina Shafir and the other one whose name's Jessamine Duke. That's it.
Yep.
I always forget one of their names, but yeah, I think this match will be. I don't think it'll be a show stealer because this card is absolutely stacked, but it'll definitely be like a positive, I think, coming out of it.
The cool thing is, it has a chance to be the show stealer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like this whole card is a really stacked lineup, but any of the matches could be the standout, and that's awesome. It's like so refreshing to be able to look forward to all of the matches on the card and not just kind of like, well, that'll be halfway decent, or it's just one match over 10 of them, or like that. Like this is going to go from one great match to another with no filler, just pure 2.5 hours of enjoy this. And I'm hoping that it's 3 falls, so it actually goes a little bit longer. Plus, it helps Kairi Sane a little bit too.
Is you don't know when to take a bathroom break because everything is good.
Probably championship celebration type stuff. Just run to the bathroom real quick,
Yeah.
Or you just get a chamber pot, or a bedpan, or a catheter.
I might have to invest a catheter.
Or a bucket. Just anything will do if you need it.
If you want to get fancy about it, Tony, then not some of us can afford buckets.
Right now, and this is the worst thing to be thinking of at the same time, but do you guys ever play with, when you were a kid, that game Mr. Bucket?
No.
You never saw that board game thing?
I've heard the theme tune for it, but I haven't.
Yeah. Mr. Bucket, buckets of fun. I'm just imagining some kid getting the worst example of that game. They grabbed the wrong bucket. Anyway, it's a discussion for an alt talk show or something down the line. Yeah, we're all going Shayna Baszler here, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's that's the only way that they can really go about this. If they would have kept the title in Kairi Sane, I would have thought maybe she would just retain again here. But Shayna Baszler is the bigger story. She's the hotter prospect. She's the one that they need to protect a little bit more because she's the bigger deal. So Kairi will get a pin, probably some kind of a roll up or something like that. And they might even do something where it's kind of like Kairi gets the first fall, then Shayna has to fight back from underneath. But it's going to come out at least 2-1 Baszler, if not 2-0.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Let's move over to Johnny Gargano versus Aleister Black. Mr. Black got attacked. Not trying to rhyme here. And it turns out that it was Johnny Gargano, who is one of 2 baby faces that turns heel for the sake of just like, hi, you can't have any heroes and stuff that's happening. Although he's trying to argue, and this is the story, that he's still the good guy. And that the whole justification was Aleister Black was getting in the way of him taking down Tommaso Ciampa. And that basically it's sort of like, I did nothing wrong. First question I have for you guys. Johnny Gargano has said The whole arena is going to be chanting Johnny Gargano did nothing wrong. Number one, do they chant that? And number two, how the fuck do you chant that?
Johnny
Gargano did nothing wrong. Johnny Gargano did nothing wrong. Like that's, you know, what are we in, like the middle of nowhere where the chants are all haphazard and crazy?
Callum, your homeland is good at chants. How would you do it?
I'm trying to think of a tune that goes along with it. It just go like, some reason I've got that.
Johnny did nothing wrong.
That one could work. But I don't think they'll end up chanting that. They'll probably end up chanting what was the Dreams one? Johnny Failure. I think that's probably the more likely one we're going to be hearing. Like Johnny Failure, Johnny Loser. I'm actually quite excited to see what Johnny Gargano's attire is going to be, because obviously Stan Lee passed away this week. Very sad news. I think
it's going to be very Venom related.
Yeah, he's
Venom.
Yeah, he's done a lot of like Marvel related stuff. So I'm sure whatever it looks is going to be pretty awesome.
If he says he's done nothing wrong and he doesn't want to go the whole Lethal Protector Venom type thing, it'd be great if he just pops out and he's just like Squirrel Girl. Just kind of like, hey, fuck it, I'm a baby face. Cheer me.
Hey, Johnny, we want you to know you did nothing wrong.
That's a good one. If they start chanting that, like if there's anyone listening that's going to be in the arena, then you have to start that chant.
Start that chant and then credit Rob for that, because it's fantastic. I could see more of "Let's go, Johnny. Johnny sucks" just being the case.
Yeah, I assume that'll be the main one because they'll just fall back on side. But it is an interesting character arc because I don't say always, but there usually comes a point where a hero becomes so obsessed with whatever their goal is to taking down that they start to actually lose themselves in that obsession. And it doesn't necessarily mean that Gargano's going to be a heel for a long term, but it does mean that he's in the wrong in this instance. Like, he took out a guy who, guy that he was feuding with, but a guy that essentially did nothing wrong and was going to be fighting for the championship. And now has to essentially justify himself by saying, well, he was getting in the way of what I'm supposed to do, which is I'm supposed to be the hero that wins the championship. Which means that he's just a bit of an obsessed narcissist. So, but that's it's a refreshing development. It's happened over the course of time. It hasn't just like come out of nowhere, like something we might talk about in the next recording. But it has been something that's progressed over the time, that he's so obsessed with defeating Tommaso Ciampa and winning the championship that he'll just stoop to new lows.
You know what? In the middle of you saying this, what it made me think of, if he doesn't go with Venom, Two-Face.
Ooh.
The whole, you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah. That'd be a good way to do it. I mean, it also fits with like Aleister Black's mantra of the fact that no man is truly good, no man is truly evil.
That's kind of why I don't agree with. Like, what are you pissed off about, Aleister? You know, you would do the same shit. Like, don't be a hypocrite.
That in itself, I mean, I would have thought that maybe he would have been the better choice to be the one that turns heel or something like that. But I'm more willing to trust the people running the show for NXT than the main roster. And if they want Johnny Gargano to be a heel, I'll go along for the ride, at least for a little bit, and see where this goes, you know?
Yeah, definitely. They've earned that right. And this match is going to fucking roll.
And it so is. I mean, they've had great matches before. Gargano and Black, for that most part. I mean, Black's not on the quite the same level as Gargano to me, but these are two of the best people that they have in NXT, or on the main roster too, if you lump them all together. There's no way this match isn't awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Gargano's had like the best matches on every takeovers like this year, pretty much. Except hang on, was he on Brooklyn this year?
Yeah. He fought.
That was Ciampa.
Oh, was
Ciampa,
Ciampa?
last man stand.
That was the
Last
one that
man
was supposed to
stand?
be the triple threat.
Yeah.
Oh, that
last
was the
man
one that's different. I thought that was the one before that.
Ah, look at that! I schooled you on
stand.
remembering a pay-per-view
Well,
thing.
they all blur together. It's like it doesn't. but yeah, so he's had the standout match on every single takeover this year. So there's no reason to suspect that he wouldn't have it here, especially considering that Aleister Black is not a bad performer himself.
You guys think that they give Black the win to kind of settle the score, or does Gargano win to kind of keep the heat?
I think
think-
Gargano is a character right now, and I think he's got to win to enhance that character.
I think Gargano's pretty bulletproof in his current state. I think Black needs to win because I think he should be the next person to have a shot for the title because he never got his rematch.
You don't think he goes up?
They're desperate right now, so it's not it wouldn't be the strangest thing in the world if they did call him up, but I think they're going to go with him being the next challenger for the title instead.
I could see there being a plan right now, which who knows if that's going to actually be the case, but I could see them going with Aleister Black fights Ciampa at Phoenix. Gargano potentially gets involved, and we get that triple threat before Mania.
We could.
I don't think they're going to revisit the triple threat. I think if Black is getting another title shot, I think it'll just be 1-on-1.
Well, because who else is there kind of in the mix other than boosting Matt Riddle up to the top?
Lars
Like-
Sullivan.
But Lars Sullivan against Ciampa?
Who's to say that the Dream doesn't win it?
That's true. Huh. Well, you know what? Let's talk about that. At least when it comes to this, I'm going Aleister Black.
I'm going Johnny.
Tiebreaker, Callum, what do you think?
He's deep in thought. Uh,
Kind of missed half of that.
who are you going with, Aleister or Johnny?
I think I'll stick with Aleister winning this one.
All right, so 2 for Aleister and 1 for Johnny. We'll see what that breaks down to, but the winner of that could have an influence on the championship situation. We were just talking about a second ago. NXT Championship is on the line. Tommaso Ciampa against Velveteen Dream, which kind of signifies that Velveteen Dream is sort of a babyface now, but it's not a guarantee. You know, he could always revert back to being a heel. And they can play him as kind of like a tweener. He doesn't have to be one thing for sure or the other thing, because he's had instances with EC3 and Johnny Gargano and Cassius Ohno and all that, mostly heel. Now he's in a babyface spot. Fans are going to cheer him regardless, and he's definitely playing the babyface here. And he's got a lot of people that are really kind of checking him out and keeping their eyes on him at NXT, as far as like a lot of people when they're doing interviews recently have been saying, oh, Velveteen Dream's one of the top guys in NXT. He's going far. I mean,
John
dude,
Cena has gone as far as to say that's his next dream match.
his next Velveteen Dream match?
Apparently.
I mean, this dude can almost do nothing wrong, and he's in the ring with Ciampa, who has been just absolutely killing it too. Like, this is another match, of course, we were talking earlier. How great is this going to be?
I'm really excited for this. You don't get matches like this where both are very entrenched in their characters, and you don't get matches like this anymore. So I'm really excited to see how this plays out.
I'll say this, which is going to get me heat. It's not. There can't be a bad match on this card because all matches are so good. This would be the weakest match on the entire card.
Yeah,
What makes you think that?
That's fair.
Because Dream's not that good. He's great as a character, but he's not that good of a wrestler yet. He's still learning. He's getting better at a very increasing rate. But if any person on this card would drag a match down, it's Dream. he's hit and miss, especially on takeovers. I think with Ciampa, he's got the perfect opponent to be fighting with. I guess, like, know how we were talking earlier about, we were talking about the strength of booking towards the 2 out of 3 falls match. I think this has been a really poorly booked feud.
I can agree with that. It's not the strongest thing because they haven't been able to go full force with any of, like, Velveteen Dream's definitely the babyface, or, you know, different things like that.
Well, because they were both entrenched in the Aleister Black issue, right?
True, but it's also a lot about the fact of, what has Dream done to earn a championship opportunity? He beat Johnny Gargano like a couple of months ago, but since then he's had like one match and he lost to Lars Sullivan. So
the Dream has no memory of that, Cal.
Which is a case of they're usually really good at building up title feuds. This kind of just feels like it's come out of a Twitter argument, which is fine for the main roster. You just kind of expect a little bit more from NXT. It's the issue. You hold them to a high standard, then when it slightly dips below that, you kind of try and pick fault with it. Whereas if this was happening on the main roster, you just let it go because it's better than most of the things they do recently. But I just would have thought they could have built Dream up a little bit more to be like a worthy challenger. I kind of just feel like he's there just because he's popular rather than that he deserves to be there.
It wouldn't surprise me if they would have potentially thought about doing EC3 and decided Velveteen Dream's more popular and went with him instead. Because they didn't do anything with EC3 this time around.
No. Well, either way, it's like you shouldn't choose. Well, you obviously, in a business sense, you should choose one of your most popular people and one of your biggest stars to compete for the championship. But you can't just do it because of that reason. You have to actually make it storyline sense as well. And the only real storyline issue between Ciampa and Dream is the fact that Dream was accusing Ciampa of injuring Aleister Black, which obviously didn't turn out to be the case. But it's just a sense of like, does that make him worthy of a championship opportunity just because Ciampa's the champion? Like, maybe they could have had like a singles match or a tag team match with both sides involved in an NXT taping, and Dream pins Ciampa, and then you could kind of just have a reason for it. Like I say, I have no issue with
are his reason for it.
But performances are like, what is his record at takeovers this year?
He had takeover, didn't he?
Sorry?
He beat EC3 at TakeOver Brooklyn, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, but he's also lost to Ricochet. And
he lost the ladder match, and he won against Ono.
Yeah, so he's 2-2 on takeovers this year. So it's not like it's a stellar record. I mean, Keith Lee's undefeated. Why is he not getting a title opportunity, even though he's had like 3 matches? But it's just
the Dream is a superstar.
I know you're trying to find defenses for it. Don't. This is a logical thing. NXT's a logical show, so they should try and. I'm just saying, I have no issue with the match. I just think it should be grounded in more logic than it has done. It just seems to be built up on the fact that, oh, Dream's a big star. Let's give him the title opportunity, as opposed to, wow, Dream's really earned his title opportunity against Tommaso Ciampa.
To be honest, I think they're going to talk a lot about how it was last year at WarGames that the Dream really came out of his shell and fought Aleister Black, and that's going to be a lot of what the story is, how it's a year later, can he do it? And spoiler, I don't think he's going to do it.
No, I'm going with Ciampa as well.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Ciampa as well.
That said, I'm looking forward to his attire, because he's always bringing it with these takeover attires.
I thought you were talking about Ciampa.
I'm looking forward to the match. Like, I don't want to get a sense like I'm trying to bury Dream or anything like that, because he is definitely a top name and a top star. I just think they could have done a better job with him in the lead up to this. But I think he'll have another breakout performance here. I just don't think it's his time to be the champion just yet.
Yeah, I think that this will be one of those things that puts him a little bit more on the map, but Ciampa has more going for him. And even though there aren't really a whole lot of baby faces that are kind of in the mix to challenge him. We still do have EC3. They could just, give him a little bit of a boost. We still have that Aleister Black match, and they could just turn Johnny Gargano and have him do another thing with Ciampa, or even just the heel versus heel Gargano Ciampa thing again. Like they've got things to play around with. We're all going Ciampa, and that means that there is a chance that we get that whole triple threat thing or whatever, but we'll see. The tapings tomorrow might have a little bit more of an indicator of what's going on. We might end up like looking at those taping spoilers and then be like, ah, crap, well, it looks like they're really heading towards Velveteen Dream's the champion because he came out and held the title up or something, you know what I mean? Like some kind of crazy thing like that, but I would assume not. I'm going to assume they're going to play it vague. And the only other match for us to talk about here for TakeOver is the titular WarGames match. It is the Undisputed Era against Pete Dunne, Ricochet, and War Raiders. First thing I just want to say, just for the hell of it, because I've never brought it up yet, I really hate that they're War Raiders and not the War Raiders. I don't know why they specifically decided not to put the in front of them, but it drives me crazy when I'm typing that out.
It's because their old name was War Machine, not the War Machine, so they decided to just stick with that and just put Raiders at the end of it instead.
It bugs me so much, because this is like, we're going to go fight War Raiders, and I keep feeling like, I want a the in there. Like, it's literally every time I type it or say it, I start going with the.
I think I put the in there when I typed it out for WrestleZone because it sounds like the should be there.
It just seems like it should be, yeah. And I don't know, maybe if they win War Games, they could be War Game Raiders or something. The team, the makeshift team, has been basically, the story was Ricochet had a problem with Adam Cole after he won the North American Championship. Pete Dunne's kind of just been hanging around because he's like, hey, you know what? Like, you keep challenging me for the UK title and I don't like you fuckers. And War Raiders are like, we're the only tag team that's credible enough to be able to beat you for the tag titles. Why aren't you letting us take the belts from you? Undisputed Era, in the meantime, is just kind of like, fuck off, dudes. And that's why we have our War Games match. And, I'm cool with it. We had the Sanity and Authors of Pain and Roderick Strong triple threat thing last year. They went with 4-on-4 instead of 3-on-3-on-3. What do you guys like better?
This.
4-on-4 because it's traditional.
Yeah, this feels like an actual War Games match, as opposed to last year, which seemed like a WWE interpretation of a War Games match, which I don't think worked. Well, it was good. It was definitely a great match, but it was just a great, fun, hardcore brawl. It wasn't a War Games match. So yeah, I prefer this one.
Yep.
I'm gonna hold my reservation until the match happens because I like the 3-on-3, and I don't have any really like personal ties to War Games. It's something that I was never an ECW guy. Well, I was never an ECW guy to begin with too, but I was always WWF more so than WCW. So there's no like, man, I remember that great War Games match between, like I don't even know. Dungeon of Doom was one, right?
You're probably thinking more like Horseman matches. Horseman in most of the War Games.
Yeah, see, I don't even know. I probably have only even seen like 3 of them. So, War Games is not a concept that I'm like, oh man, if they got rid of Elimination Chamber, I would be so upset, or like something like that. Like, but it is cool, and the bunch of the people that are involved in this, I'm a fan of pretty much all of them. Still not sold on War Raiders. They haven't quite won me over yet. But Ricochet's fantastic. Pete Dunne's awesome. And all 4 members of the Undisputed Era know what the hell they're doing. So, as far as I'm concerned, this could potentially be the best match of the night. And it still might not even, because the other 3 matches could be so much great that they just surpass this too. But this should be the main event, right? It is War Games.
Yeah, it is called War Games.
Yeah, it's the title match. Well, obviously non-title, but it's the title of the show, so it really should go on last.
Even though we have 4 different champions in there, no title is on the line. It's not for the tag team championship, for anybody that's wondering. But that could play into the winning team. War Raiders, if they win this, by all means, it seems like they should have like a shot at the tag team titles, and that has to happen at some point. Or if Undisputed Era win, there could be grounds to be like, all right, well, Adam Cole gets another shot at the North American title or something like that. Like, they could play around with this. So I don't think it's a guarantee that one side wins or the other one does. Although I'm leaning more towards the baby faces.
I love and have a slight unhealthy obsession with everything that the Undisputed Era does. I think that they are the best faction in years in WWE. And even though it would make total sense for the babyfaces to win, because, you know, it is WarGames and the heels usually get what's coming to them, I think if you put the Undisputed Era over here, and then you have Fish go after Ricochet, and Adam Cole set his sights finally on the NXT Championship, I think there's a lot of money that can be made with the Undisputed Era.
I don't think Undisputed Era are going to be around long enough for Adam Cole to win the NXT Championship. Because I think they're probably getting called up around about, if not after the Survivor Series, which I think will probably be too soon, it'd be around about WrestleMania time. So I don't think there's really enough time to give Adam Cole a significant run with the championship. And I think it's going to be embroiled with just Ciampa and Gargano and Black and some other names up that end. I think it makes the most sense to have the babyfaces win, especially because I already think that Ciampa and Baszler are both retaining their championship. So it'd be good to end the show on a positive babyface note. Just have War Raiders pin one of either O'Reilly or Strong, and then that gives them the sense of, okay, they're going to be the next challengers for the NXT Tag Team Championship at the next Takeover Phoenix.
And I know that they're not this anal about being traditional, but I would rather have the submission or surrender ruling.
I don't think they'll probably go that far, because I don't think, only really people in the Undisputed Era. Perhaps Pete Dunne, but only people in the Undisputed Era really have...
I think, the War Raiders can beat you into submission.
True.
I would like to see that in a match, because it doesn't usually happen where somebody's just like pummeling somebody and then they're just like, all right, I give up. Fuck. Stop hitting me. That'd be great. I'd like that.
I'd have to have a match with like Lana though for that to happen.
Oh, geez.
Because of how hard she hits.
If anybody doesn't know the context of that, check out the footage of Lana not hitting Dana Brooke from Monday Night Raw. It's pretty bad. Although I'd rather that be the case if you're Nia Jax. Rather you not land a punch.
So I think the War Raiders fit here because they're a good callback to the Road Warriors, who were in all of the original WarGames matches, and they really can have that intense, I'm just going to come in here and wreck shit and throw people around, and it's going to be a fun match.
Let's put it this way, the fact that Ricochet's in the match means that there's not going to be a roof on this like it was last year.
Why not?
That's pretty obvious, because he's going to have to jump off something pretty high.
Well, he can hang from the roof, and
Do you think they're going to add weapons to it like they did last year?
Yes.
Because then it really becomes more of a Lethal Lockdown match than a WarGames match, but
Well, I never didn't like that, though, and I enjoy the fact that WWE at least gives you the two rings to work with.
The thing that helps it stand out is potentially, obviously, the fact that it's a WarGames match, but the thing that makes it a bit more different, because all the other matches feel like they're just going to be pretty traditional wrestling matches, so adding a bit of weapons will just make this stand out a little bit more. So, and that could also help it in its quest to be the match of the night.
Do you guys think that it is going to be the match of the night?
Absolutely.
I think some part of me thinks that Gargano Black is going to be better than this. But this wouldn't be surprising.
These guys never disappoint. Can you name a single time that the Undisputed Era has disappointed?
Well, no, but there's a first time for everything. Can you name a time that Aleister Black or Johnny Gargano disappointed?
No. And that's why this show is going to be fantastic.
It really is. And there's a chance that it's the best pay-per-view of the year. There's a chance that it's, if not that, at least the best pay-per-view of the weekend. And,
by a landslide there, Tony.
I mean, you know, up until Tuesday, I was leaning a little bit more towards Survivor Series had a chance to beat that out. Now, of course, we're going to get into that a little bit when we talk about the Survivor Series situation, but takeover events never fail. That's the thing. Like, they might not be the best pay-per-view of the year, but they're always going to be good. I don't remember a single takeover that was bad. It was just maybe one or two that were a little bit underwhelming. Like, there was one with Bailey on it. I forget which one it was now, because I, of course, don't remember that. That's what we were talking earlier.
The one in England where Bailey fights Nia, and they had the weird...
Oh,
yeah.
London was a great one.
I think that was the one.
You're completely lying with that one. The one that the underwhelming one is the Balor Samoa Joe Steel Cage one. That one wasn't very good.
Respect.
I didn't like. Let me just get this out of the way. I thought that the Balor Joe era of takeovers were some of the worst ones because I just never got into that.
I would say they're obviously underwhelming. Can't say that any of them were bad, but yeah, they were probably more of the underwhelming ones. But that definitely won't be the case with this one.
At the very least,
new standards.
I've been enjoying the past year or two more than I have with like Nakamura, Rude, Balor, and anybody.
Yeah, they've got a good bunch now at the moment. At the top end. And
in a couple of months, they'll bring half of them up, crap on them on the main roster, and we'll be starting fresh with.
Say that. Don't speak it into existence, especially not with the Undisputed Era. Please, let's keep them whole and keep them doing good things.
They'll come up to the main roster the night after WrestleMania, attack somebody on Monday Night Raw, be on Monday Night Raw, not be a priority, wrestle at Backlash in some kind of a 8-man tag match, split up. Like, they'll do all this kind of crap.
Yeah,
you know what's happening.
They'll come in, attack Apollo Crews. Just get that heat immediately. And then three of them will be in the Battle Royal at WrestleMania, and one of them will be in a multi-man ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship, and then we'll just move on.
I hate you guys so much.
And they'll start a feud with the Lucha House Party. And it'll be like, hey, Sin Cara comes back, and that way it's 4-on-4.
I hate you guys.
And then they lose the four horsewomen at Survivor Series. Then it's just
there you go.
Yeah, we just went into the future of 2019.
Yeah, and in the meantime, at some point, Brock Lesnar beats all four of them with one German suplex.
Yeah.
But since it's Brock Lesnar, he doesn't want to do those moves, so he beats them by not doing it. Paul Heyman says Brock Lesnar does a German suplex, and then all four of them just go, fuck, you know.
And then we have an NWO reunion. Hulk Hogan hits them all with the leg drop at the same time.
I get God.
And Vince McMahon goes, why the fuck do we not have 2 million subscribers yet? Goddamn, pal. At least NXT TakeOver WarGames is going to kick some serious ass, and we are very, very excited to see what happens on this card. So we want to know what you guys have to say about this. Drop your comments below and tell us what you think is going to happen, what you're excited for, what do you think is going to be the best match of the night, so on and so forth with that. And we will, of course, be doing the post-show after TakeOver on Saturday night around the 10 o'clock mark or something like that. Of course, it won't be posted around that time, but I'll try to set up the premiere thing for that, and then people can kind of like get started talking with the upload and everything. But just stay tuned, and the best way to stay tuned is to hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel and ring the little bell for notifications. Just check that off, and you will get an email alert when we do have that posted. You could also follow the Facebook and Twitter accounts at SmarkOutMoment, and check out SmarkOutMoment.com for everything else that's happening there. Follow me at Tony Mango. Follow Fanboys Anonymous for anything that's happening there. If WWE gives me a goddamn chance to breathe this week, maybe I'll be seeing Fantastic Beasts, even though it's not really the thing that I'm like the most excited about. At the very least, I'm seeing Creed soon, so that'll be popping up on Fanboys. And I desperately need a WWE break, so if I get a chance, more Fanboys content. If not, blame it on WWE.
I would still like to do that Stan Lee podcast.
Believe me, there are so many things I would like to do. Like, if WWE were to have given me a chance, I would have peed a couple more times yesterday. There was a point in time where I had to take a piss and I couldn't for 45 minutes because they were changing so many goddamn things. Yeah, that's how things have been going lately. So we will get into that with the Survivor Series talk, but let's round out the plugs here. Callum?
Follow me on Twitter at Wigmeister14. I'll be posting the power rankings at sometime later this week. So check out that and all the other weekly content on Smark at the moment.
Rob?
Check out WrestleZone for your daily wrestling news. Got a lot of good stories up right now, including Becky Lynch just commented on Ronda Rousey's social media diss of her, trying to say that she isn't man enough to get in the ring with her. And Becky Lynch just responded to that. So go check that out. It's posting as we speak. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DudeFelice. That's DudeFelice. And yeah.
Alrighty, everybody. That'll do us in for this pay-per-view point. We're going to be doing the Survivor Series one to follow this. And hopefully that'll be coming up pretty soon after you're checking that out. So pay attention to all that stuff that's happening, and we will see you next time. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.